Hi everyone, so welcome back to a new video. Today is the day 16 of our 30 days of JavaScript challenge, and we have crossed about 15 days, that is half of the day in the 30 days, right? Now from the easy question we will be shifting towards a medium level question, okay? The name of the question is promise time limit, okay? So now let's see the problem description. So in this question we have been given an asynchronous function, okay, which is fn, and time t in milliseconds, okay, and what we need to do is we need to return a new time limited version of the input function. What this means, that this function that we are returning, okay, it has some, it will be executed in some time only, it has limited time. And also we have been told that fn takes arguments provided to the time limit function, okay. So this fn is there now, there, right? So it will take the arguments which is provided to the time limited function. Now basically they are telling that we are having fn function, okay, and we are returning a time limited function, okay. So the arguments that this time limited function is carrying, fn will be using that, okay. So this is what we are being said here. Now they have told that in the time limited function there are two rules, okay. We need to follow two rules. One is, if the fn completes within the time limit, that is t milliseconds, the time limited function should resolve with the result, okay. So what we need to do, if our function, let's say we have t as 1000 milliseconds, okay, so our function completes in within 1000 milliseconds, then we need to resolve the result, right? We need to resolve the result. And if if the function exceeds the given time limits, like let's say our function is taking the 1050 milliseconds to execute, okay, so in such case we need to reject this, we need to reject, okay, we need to reject the promise, and it will be rejected with a message that is time limit exceeded, okay. So this is what we need to do for the time limited function. So what is happening here, we are having, in order to create a time limited function, okay, and we have been told here that we need to create a time limit, right? So for that we will be using set timeout, right? So that we know that after this time, after this much time, the function will return time limit exceeded, okay. So we have this idea that when the promise is rejected we need to call set timeout, and it will return the value time limit exceeded, okay. So we have this idea now. Now we have two promises here, right? One is when it is getting rejected, and the other one is it should get resolved. In such cases, when we have set, when we are using set timeout, and we have we have to go for two promises, we can use promise.race, okay. Now let's see, before moving to the problem, that what is promise.race, okay. So this promise.race is a method in JavaScript which takes array of promises. So what it basically does is, like when we are using set timeout, right? So this promise.race will be used only when we have more than one promises, and like one or more than one are using set timeouts, okay. So what it does is, the promise which is taking long time to execute, it will reject that. And what it does is, before when we are sending the array of promises, it will return a single promise, okay. This is the basic, okay. The promise method in JavaScript takes array of promises and returns single promise, okay. Now this promise.race method, it is used to implement timeouts, as I said. And what it will do, it will cancel a set of promise which is taking too long to execute or too long to complete, like I said, right? So what is this statement is telling here, that this returned promise settles with the eventual state of the first promise that settles. What this means is, the promise that this is returning single promise, right? So this promise will be the will have the resolved value of the promise that is getting settled before. Like, let's go with an example. Okay, so we have two promises here, right? One is returning hello after 1000 milliseconds, and the other one is returning world after 2000 seconds. Okay, so what will happen now? We will pass this array. This is array, right? There are two promises and we are passing this array of promises in array promise.race. Okay, so now what will happen? This this first promise, it is taking only like 1000 milliseconds, and the other one has the timeout value of 2000 milliseconds. So what will happen? This will be getting resolved before. Okay, so this will get resolved, and for the other we will get timeout as the error. Okay, see, now what we are doing, we are getting the result, then for the resolved value we are getting hello, and then for, since this is this will get left out, right? Because the use of promise.race is, the word race itself means like which will be getting completed fast, or who will win. Okay, so the promise that wins or gets executed at the first, it will be shown in the result, and the other will throw an error as timeout. Okay, so this is basically what will happen in promise.race. Now we have the basic idea of promise.race. So let's see how we will implement promise.race in this question. Now what is happening here? We have been told that we have a function, okay, and it is getting completed, or it is getting executed within the time of t milliseconds, and if it is not completed, then what is happening? We have to reject the promise and result time limit exceeded. So let's say we create an array of promises in the same way we saw. So we have promises here. So for the first one, what we will have? We will have a promise, and in this what we will do? We will resolve it, because for the first one the value was getting resolved and it was returning the function, like if the function is returning 4 as the value, so if the promise is getting resolved, then it will return 4 as the value. So what we will do? We will resolve it with fn of args. So this is this will happen when the means function is getting executed within time limit. Okay, within time limit. Now we have one more promise in which the value is getting rejected as time limit exceeded after this value or the function is not executed within the t milliseconds. So what we will do? We will create one more promise and it will send rejected value. Here the arguments will have resolve and reject both, but what we will have after the set timeout, means after the time has already been passed, or the given time has already been passed, and the function hasn't returned any value, then what we need to do? We need to reject time limit exceeded. So what we will do here? We will set timeout. We will use set timeout, and it will reject a value time limit exceeded, and this will take place after t milliseconds. Okay, so we will write here t. Now what is there? We have two promises. Okay, one is resolving and the one is rejecting. Let's say we have been given t as 1000 milliseconds. Okay, so let's say now our function fn is taking only 800 milliseconds to execute. So in that case, the race is getting won by the resolved promise, right? The zeroth index or the first promise is getting the is getting won, or it is getting completed or executed before this is even starting. Okay, so the new promise that will be returned is this one. So now for the rejected value, let's say our function of this function argument is taking approx, like let's say 1500 milliseconds. Okay, and the allotted time is only 1000 milliseconds. So what will happen in such case, when the function is taking this much time, this set timeout will already execute, right? And it will reject the value as time limit exceeded, and in such cases the rejected value will win the race, and it will be returned as the promise or the new promise. So now what we will do here, we will just return promise.race, and we will pass promises here. So this is only what we are supposed to do in this question. Okay, now let's move on to the code, and we will see what is happening, and whatever little doubts are there, it will be cleared with that. So now let's see the code. Okay, we have the function and arguments as given here already. Now what we need to do, we need to create an array of promises. So that is what we will do. We will create a function, array of promises. The first promise will be resolving, right? Promise will resolve, and it will resolve and send the function value, that the value returned by the function only, right? It will resolve with the value that is returned by the function. We are passing the function here. Now this is our first promise. The other promise is the rejected value, right? So we have resolve and reject here. Now what will happen in this, we will use set timeout, right? That and this promise will only be executed after the t milliseconds. So we will, after this t milliseconds has been passed, it will directly reject the value, right? So it will reject that time limit has exceeded, right? So we will be writing here time limit exceeded. And what we will do here, we will return it after t milliseconds, right? So we will give here comma and t. Now what we need to do, we have the array of promises, and we need to pass it in promise.race, and then we will see who wins the race, right? Basically the word is giving that sense only. The promise which is completing first, it will be returned as the new promise, or it will be returned as the new resolved solution of the promise.race, right? So we will return this value. Now promise, now let's try to run it. So the sample test cases are passed. Let's try to submit it. So this code has been accepted. That's it for today, guys. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, please share it with your friends. And in order to continue with me in this coding journey, please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification so you will be notified every time I upload a new video. Thank you for watching.